Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream and your daily transfer update. Plenty to get stuck into today. We had some big news. Mauricio Pochettino has wielded the axe and Joao Felix will not be returning to Chelsea next season. That's the big news from today. Obviously, Dennis Zakaria, the club won't be taking up the buy option on him either. All the latest updates on Manuel Ugarte, Loftus-Cheek getting closer to a move to AC Milan, and Chelsea are still demanding £70 million for Mason Mount if he is to leave the club this summer. Loads and loads to get into, guys. So make sure you smash the likes on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and you haven't done so already, and let's get this show on the road, people. The big news today dropped about lunchtime that Pochettino has said no to Joao Felix. News coming out today, as I said, Fabrizio reporting this, that Mauricio Pochettino's, not that one, sorry. Dennis Zakaria can obviously go, but that was not the one I was looking for. The comments from the Atletico Madrid president today that saying that we have been informed that Pochettino does not count with Joao Felix for Chelsea. He will return here. We'll see. We've got nothing planned. So what this boils down to is Pochettino not wanting Felix. The club were happy, the board were happy with Felix, and Felix was happy to stay at Chelsea as well. And, you know, a lot of people are getting annoyed about this. The reality of the situation is that for me personally, yeah, it would have been nice for him to stay, but ultimately, with Nkunku coming in, maybe Mount stays, Pochettino maybe likes Havertz and maybe he stays as well. You know, you cannot have Mount, Nkunku, Felix, and Havertz all in the same squad. And ultimately, this is a position that we want to be in. Is that the manager does what the manager says. So if Pochettino doesn't want Joao Felix, then I trust Pochettino that that's not right for the club, and I trust him and his judgment to use Nkunku there or to whatever other players we're bringing in. And it really is. It really is that simple, you know. It would have been a lot of money, and for 70, 80 million quid, like with the positions that we need to strengthen as well, that position behind the striker is not really a position we do need to strengthen. And ultimately, you know, Felix goes out and Nkunku comes in, so it's a like for like replacement there. Obviously, we may have to go in for some other players in that position if more leave, if Havertz were to leave, for example. But I just look at 70, 80 million quid on Felix, and it's just like, it doesn't really, I don't think it makes sense. It really doesn't make sense. And the fact that there doesn't really appear to be any other clubs interested in him as well kind of says a lot. But ultimately, I liked Felix. I thought he did a good job when he was at Chelsea. He got 4 goals, but I thought he was good. I thought he's a skillful player, you know, reads the lines well, he's intelligent, good passing. Not the best finishing, but, you know, I felt he made a difference to the attack, and he certainly improved it. Now, that can be a combination of his ability and how poor we were in those positions in the first place. And I do feel that he should have played more. Obviously, Lampard benching him for the sort of towards the end of his reign, sort of kind of final few games. But it's a bold decision from Chelsea. It's big from Pochettino because, you know, this decision needs to be right from him, and we're going to have to make sure that we kind of hit the ground running next season, and we don't have people saying, "Oh, well, you know, if we'd signed Felix, then, you know, oh, this would have been, you know, this wouldn't have happened, or we wouldn't have lost these games, or we wouldn't be in X position." You know, I think it's the right choice personally for me. We didn't see enough of him, but again, it just goes to show that obviously not really much thought was put into this transfer. Yes, we were kind of excited by it, but ultimately we paid £11.5 million for a 3 to 4 month loan, 4 goals, and now he's going back to Atletico Madrid. I mean, I wouldn't say this loan move was a failure necessarily, but it's cost a lot of money, and has it represented value for money? You'd probably have to argue that I'm not sure if it has been. I don't know if it's been worth it. Yes, we did need someone, but, you know, I think we could have maybe looking back in hindsight now, we perhaps could have done slightly better we could have made a better deal, something that wouldn't have cost the club as much money, and got someone in that potentially maybe could have made more of an impact. But yeah, guys, get your thoughts about Felix in the chat, and I'll go through some now. RD, big up my guy. We're winning the league next season, mark my words. Well, I mean, I love that optimism and that confidence, but I don't share that same optimism, but more than happy to be proven wrong. Yes, Daniel, thanks for tuning in, mate. I'll get to this in a sec about academy lads. I wanted Felix to stay. Fair. Big up CFC, Stephen. Personally, I think we should have only kept Felix if Havertz was definitely leaving. Agreed on that. And this was my whole point. I think I said it over on Lawrence's stream like a few weeks back, that I'd be happy to keep Felix, but like only if certain criteria are met. And those criteria for me is, one, if Havertz were to leave. Two, if we had already addressed a goalkeeper, a holding midfield player, and a striker, and maybe if Mount left as well. But all those things would have to fall into place for a move for Felix at that price to make any sense whatsoever. And ultimately, the cards haven't fallen into place, and the deal just doesn't really make it doesn't really make footballing sense, and it doesn't make financial sense either. So when you bring those two things into account, I don't really think we can have any complaints at the decision that Pochettino has arrived at. You know, we've got Nkunku coming in, who we're going to be counting on massively next season. And that position behind the striker is going to be his. And I suppose he'll rotate with Mount if he stays. He'll rotate with potentially Kai Havertz. And maybe we might look to add a cheaper option in that position as backup. I'm not too sure. But for me personally, I also really like Felix. And, you know, he had a good affinity with the fans. The fans liked him. He loved the club. He wanted to stay. Ultimately, footballing and financial reasons, this deal for me just wasn't really adding up. I've already read that. With Nkunku coming, how would Felix get in a team? Well, look, you need strength in depth, and you need quality in depth. So Felix would have played games, but you know, even another loan deal, I would have taken another loan deal, but I fully trust Pochettino's judgment on this. And you know, he's been ruthless from the start, and this needs to continue. And the clearout's begun today. The future of Joao Felix sorted. What does everyone see in Havertz? Yeah, I'm not really sure. Again, reports suggesting that Poch wants to keep Kai Havertz, but again, not seeing too many of those and not sure how accurate they are. But it doesn't appear that Kai Havertz at this point in time is going to be leaving Chelsea in the summer. But obviously, a lot can change in football and a lot can change very quickly. But as it stands right now, there doesn't really seem to be many links of Kai Havertz going out the door at Stamford Bridge. If Havertz does stay, yeah. Well, look, if Havertz stays, and the only position he can be playing is that number 10 role behind the striker, and he would rotate with Nkunku in that position, because it would be I presume it would be Broja rotating with the centre forward that we sign, whoever that may be, and then Havertz and Nkunku would rotate for that number 10 spot, maybe along with Mason Mount as well if he ends up staying. So I think that's a bit harsh. I think he was good. It depends what you're defining as good. If you're purely looking at numbers, and all right, no, it wasn't that great. But if you're looking for, I do feel that, you know, he lifted the attack. He improved it. Yes, the standards were low when he arrived, but I think he's a good player. Is he right for Chelsea ultimately? I'm not sure, but I don't think you can look at this loan spell and think that Felix wasn't good for Chelsea, because I think he was good for Chelsea, but I just don't think a deal at 70 or 80 million pounds represents good value for money in this market. That's just my opinion. Yeah, big up. Thank you for tuning in. Is that going to be an agree? Missed a few E's off there, or you turned into a pirate, mate? I don't know. I think that's agree. Must have been something I said. I can't really remember. Cannot have Felix and Nkunku in one team. No, you can't. Probably can't have them in the same team, but you can definitely have them coexisting in the squad. Like, I'd have no issue with having Felix and Nkunku as those two options behind the striker if Havertz left, if Mount left as well. But signing Felix without Mount or Havertz going out the door doesn't really make any sense for me. And as I said, you know, I think we can get a cheaper option in that position that would represent better value for money for the club. Rather splash. Well, yeah, and ultimately, this is what it boils down to: is that this area is not a priority area to be signing a new player in. We need them. We need to strengthen the midfield. And if it means not signing Joao Felix and it means we sign a Moises Caicedo, for example, then that cash that would have been used to sign Felix is going to be put to much better use, potentially signing Caicedo or potentially getting us 2 midfielders, whether that's Ugarte and Kone, whether that's Ugarte and Lavia. So it makes much better sense to use that money that would have been used to sign Felix potentially to bring players in the positions that we actually need to desperately strengthen. And that number 10 position off the striker is not an area that we need to strengthen as a priority. It's as simple as that. This is the type of decision I want from a manager: direction and plan. Yeah, look, this is great from Poch so far. Look, it's the start. I've got nothing against Joao Felix. I like him as a player, and I think he is a top player as well. I obviously wish him all the best in his career. It doesn't necessarily mean that Felix Chelsea is dead forever, but I think it's pretty much certain that whilst Pochettino's in charge at the club, we won't be seeing Joao Felix in a Chelsea shirt. But yeah, this is what you want from a manager: coming in, making big decisions from day one, letting the board know this is what I want. He's part of my plans. He's not. You might like him. He might want to be at the club. I'm the guy in charge here, and what I say goes. And so I don't want Felix, so we're not having him. And that's great. And it's great to see that Bowley and co, with this decision, obviously seem to be listening to Pochettino. And they seem to maybe be taking a step back from the footballing side of things. And this is what I always thought all along, is that until we got the manager in place, until we got that footballing department in place, Bowley was going to be a bit more proactive in the football side of things. But once the footballing department's in place, which it is now, and once the new manager is in place, and Pochettino it is now, Bowley's going to be taking a lot more of a back seat in terms of the footballing side of operations. Obviously, he'll still oversee the business side of things. And of course, he might have a minor say in the footballing side of things, but ultimately you've got to leave these decisions in charge of these decisions for the footballing people. And it's as simple as that. Mate, I don't think Felix was bang average. I think that's pretty harsh. I think it's pretty harsh. He wants to keep Havertz, ICBA. Look, I don't know if he wants to keep Havertz. I've seen one report saying that, but again, as I said, a lot can change in football. We don't really know if Poch wants to keep Havertz or not. But I think another problem we're going to have as well is who wants to buy Kai Havertz. That's another thing. And not many teams can afford him. PSG aren't going to want Havertz. I don't think any teams in Italy could afford him. Bayern is the only choice in Germany, but I mean, does he play there with Thomas Müller, with Musiala, with Mane, etc.? Would Havertz even get in the team? Does Havertz want to go and play under Thomas Tuchel again? So there are a real lack of options for Kai Havertz in the market. And what sort of a deal would we get, and what kind of money would we get for Havertz as well? So it's an interesting one. But yeah, I suspect that as things stand right now, I probably expect Havertz to be a Chelsea player next season, which is disappointing given that he's massively underwhelmed in his 3 years here so far. And ultimately, I don't think he's of the required standard to play for Chelsea. But, I think he probably will be here next season. We need a number 9 to put the ball in the net. Agreed on that. Felix wasn't a priority signing. Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing, guys. This is what people need to realise, is that whilst you might like Felix and whilst you might think he's a good player, it's a lot of money. And this is not a priority position that we need strengthening. And ultimately, I think it's as simple as that for me, It's not a position that we need strengthening, and I put my trust in the manager to make the right decisions, and I stick by that, and I will back whatever decisions Pochettino makes until they turn out to potentially be proven wrong, and that's the way it should be. Really, yes, I can have my opinion on things, but ultimately, I'm always going to back the manager with what he does because he's the guy in charge, and you just got to get on board with what he's doing. As simple as that, really. Big battle for Caicedo this summer. He's the next Kante. We cannot miss out on him. Yeah, I'll get on to midfield and Moises Caicedo shortly. But yeah, that's the truth of the matter. It looks like Declan Rice is either going to go to Arsenal or Bayern Munich. Chelsea have got to get Caicedo. We really have to. And I said the other day that it would be disastrous if we missed out on both Caicedo and Rice. Disastrous might be a bit of a strong word, but it really wouldn't be good if we were to miss out on both those players. We have to get one of those players in. It looks like Ugarte is potentially going to come. So, that's one of the midfield spots taken. And then we need to add another one in terms of Moises Caicedo as well. So, yeah, one of those two needs to come up. Yes, big up my guy. Thank you for tuning in as always. If Casadei impresses in pre-season, why not have him? Because Casadei is an 8, not really a 10. And again, I think he needs to go and play somewhere else. He's had half a season on loan at Reading. I think he needs to go and either have a full season in the Championship. Maybe can he get a loan in the Premier League somewhere? If not, then maybe look at Europe's top 5 leagues. Maybe send him to Serie A on loan. One of the teams in the bottom half of the table. There may be a Spezia, maybe a side like that potentially. Seen a tweet saying Poch wants to use Mudryk like Son. Was that an opinion tweet, or was that like actually reported? But Mudryk, I think, is going to be cooking under Pochettino. Look, it's been underwhelming for sure since he's come in January, but I like Mudryk. I love the guy. I've fully invested in these Mudryk stocks, and I expect my investment to be returned handsomely next season under Poch. Guys, invest in the Mudryk stocks whilst they're low, because people are laughing at him, but trust me, this guy is going to the top. He will succeed in the Chelsea shirt, in my opinion. And under Pochettino, I think Mudryk's going to be cooking next season, and we're going to see the player that we did pay that money for. No, we're not in danger with the FFP. But as long as we've made £100 million by the end of June, which we will with all the players we've got to sell, then that's all that we need to do. And people can criticise Bowley and co for some of the footballing decisions they've made, but these guys aren't stupid. They know money, they know finances. I've got no problem with what's going on at the club financially right now. That's for sure. Yeah, no, he does. I'm not sure if he likes Lukaku, but in terms of he wants to have a conversation with him. But all reports are indicating that Lukaku doesn't want to return to Chelsea, which is kind of as we expected. But Pochettino still wants to have a conversation with him. But ultimately, the Lukaku thing is down to Lukaku if he wants to try and make his Chelsea career work. If not, then it's an absolute non-starter. How do I feel about Ugarte? I'll get to Ugarte shortly. No, we're not going to win the league next season. Of course we're not. Let's just get European football and build from there. It's a good sign. We know the owners liked Felix, so Poch has some clout. Yeah, look, and ultimately we have to be in this position because Chelsea are at their lowest point right now, and the owners and the club are not in a position to be calling the shots to a manager who's just come in when we've just finished 12th in the table and had an absolutely shocking season. The manager's got to have power in these decisions, and I'm really glad to see that the club are letting Pochettino decide what he wants to do with the playing squad, because ultimately that's how it should be. He's the manager. He's the guy that's going to be using these players, and he's the guy that is going to be molding this team for next season and for years to come. So he needs to have a major say in who he wants and who he doesn't want. If he doesn't want Felix, then you listen to him and you don't go and get Felix. It's as simple as that, as far as I'm concerned. Poch doesn't break the 3-year mold of Chelsea managers. I don't know why you're already thinking about him going when he's not even put his foot through the door yet. We need to get on board with Pochettino. I think he's a top manager. I think he will be good for the club, but he's going to need some time. It's going to require patience. Unless it goes disastrously wrong, I think he probably will see his contract out and maybe sign an extension. Obviously, this is all hypotheticals and ifs and buts, but we've seen that this ownership are prepared to give managers a lot of time. They gave Graham Potter so much time to turn it round, more time than many people would have said he deserved. So yeah, these owners will give the manager time. So I don't know why you're thinking about that already, but if I had to say right now, I think Poch will be here for a number of years, and that's just my hunch right now. But again, that can be wrong. Things change in football. Let's see what happens. It is just business. It doesn't mean he doesn't like him. No, it doesn't mean he doesn't like him as a player. Of course not. But what it means is that he doesn't want him for his Chelsea squad and his Chelsea team. And I respect that for being bold. Yeah, he'll go. Ziyech will leave. Those saying he's average are just getting their knowledge from Twitter. Felix has been very unlucky to not net more. Yeah, look, he's obviously hit the woodwork a number of times. He's missed a few opportunities as well with his finishing. So, look, yeah, the numbers perhaps don't tell the full story, of course. And I think he's a very talented boy. He's still only 23 years of age. I think he can still develop massively, but it obviously isn't going to be at Chelsea. The players we are now linked with is a huge sign we are no longer playing with the big boys. No, mate, this is what you don't understand is that Declan Rice is one player, right? Yes, I would have loved him at Chelsea, but ultimately he has his reasons for not wanting to join the club, and I don't think that's got anything to do with the fact that we're 12th and not in European football for hopefully just one season. I think we are absolutely at the operating table with the big boys in Europe for players. Yes, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder for us to convince players, but you've seen the players that we've managed to sign, the caliber of player we've signed, with our future for next season being very much in doubt in terms of European football. You know, we managed to sign some of the most exciting young players in Europe to join this club when we're at a real low point and no European football next season. You know, Felix joined on loan. Mudryk signed, one of the most exciting players young players in Europe. Madueke's joined us again, another one of those players. So it's Enzo Fernandez, a World Cup winner, one of the best midfielders in the world, and one of the best midfielders in Europe, and could be a very special player in the future. So I don't buy into this notion that we're not shopping with the big boys anymore. This idea that Chelsea should only be going for big names is the sort of shit that's got us in trouble in the past. You know, we've got to be smarter in the transfer market. And just because people might not have heard of a certain player that much or not watched a player doesn't mean they're shit. You know, we need to be smarter in the transfer market, and signing players potentially like Ugarte, like Caicedo. You know, these are smart signings, make business sense, and they make footballing sense as well. We've got to move away from this model of just like, oh, let's sign him because he's a big name and Chelsea are a big club and we should be going for big names. That hasn't worked for us in the past. We've got to change tact and have a better recruitment strategy. And that's what, and I honestly believe that's what we have right now. And, you know, there's Ugarte looks close to coming in. So I think that would be a great signing for Chelsea. And again, Pochettino wants Ugarte. Go out and get him Ugarte. Get the players the manager wants and allow him to work with those players and mould that team. But I absolutely don't buy into the fact that Chelsea are not shopping at the top table anymore, because they absolutely are. In a weird way, this season could be good for us. Definitely a long need to wake-up call in terms of recruitment. 100% agree. I also agree on that, but it's not looking likely he'll stay. If both Kante and Kovacic leave plus Gallagher, we need 3 midfielders, not just 2. Agreed on that. There could still be 3. Mudryk is not ready for next season. No, Mudryk's going to be ready. He's going to be ready. What's been the highlight of the season for you? Highlight of the season. I'd probably say the Dortmund game where we overturned that deficit and won the second leg 2-0. Otherwise, personal highlight for me at games that I've been at. Leicester away was fantastic. Bournemouth away was a great day out. Leicester and Bournemouth away, both good. And Dortmund at home. Those are probably the 3 highlights of the season. There's not many other positives from the season. I guess my major highlight of the season was the fact it finished at the weekend. But yeah, highlight of the season is I didn't even see that, but yeah, absolutely. But no, Leicester and Bournemouth away, big highlights of the season. Just register for membership next season. Yeah, nice one up the Chelsea. Felix was better than the rest of the Chelsea midfielders. At least he don't fear. He just needed to improve his teamwork. He wasn't a midfielder really. Yeah, he played as a 10. Look, I think he could be good for us and could do a job, but you know, ultimately for the price, it doesn't make sense. Look, I think ultimately the owners made a mistake in terms of giving him a 5-year deal. That for me was a mistake. But again, contracts in football don't really mean anything. They're not even worth the paper that they're written on. And in terms of the results, they gave Graham Potter a lot of time because people were calling for his head a lot earlier than when he did go. And I think ultimately, if it was solely down to them, then perhaps he would have stayed on. And I still maintain that sacking him with 10 games to go made absolutely zero sense. But I think they caved into fan pressure a little bit as well. I didn't realize the backlash was going to be so strong. And ultimately, it didn't work out. But they absolutely, and what I mean by giving him time, they absolutely, in terms of how bad the results were and how bad the football was and the fan reaction, they absolutely gave him more time in that aspect than perhaps he deserved. That's for sure. But that's what I mean in terms of they're prepared to give managers time. They're prepared to stick with a manager through a difficult spell. The only problem was that with Graham Potter, the difficult spell didn't show any signs of ending. Main thing is homegrown quota. Rumours on Chalobah, Mount Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, Cho out too. So our 8 would be Chilwell, RJ, Chilwell, Bettinelli, Carney, Broyer, Colwell, Hall, and 1 dependent on loans. Yeah, look, I think obviously the club will be fully across this. So I hope we don't have any issues with that. I don't envisage us to. Like, haven't got stupid people at the football club. Do you think they'll double announce for Gusto's already been announced? He's done all the stuff anyway. No, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Didn't we used to cry that we never get hidden gems and always overpay for big names? Yeah, this is exactly it. Like, this is the point. Like, people are like, oh, why are we letting everyone else find these players? And then we're going to go and pay 60, 70 million quid for them. Why are we not finding these guys before they become these 60, 70, 80 million pound players? And then people are saying, oh, look at this. Look at the players Chelsea are going for. Oh, look how far we've fallen off. Oh, we're not shopping with the big boys anymore. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't moan that, oh, we're always overpaying for players, but then you moan when we go and shop and try and find these players before they become really good. So you can't have it both ways. What do you want? Do you want us always signing big names and overpaying? Or do you want us to actually find these players and develop them and develop them into those 70, 80 million pound players? That's how it works. No, of course you can't. But everyone knew that. Everyone knew that Lampard wasn't going to be good. So, like, there's no satisfaction in being right about that. Like, we knew it was going to be crap. We just needed someone to come in for the last 10 games of the season that knew the club and that was available at such short notice, and he ticked those boxes. So, yeah, that's it. That's the reality with Lampard. Like Lewis said, I just think it would have ended up getting very toxic amongst the fans if Potter stayed any longer. Yeah, no, I do agree with that. And having been to a lot of games last season, like, it was getting pretty toxic amongst the fan base, amongst the match going fans, particularly at full times, half times. It was really bad. And when it gets to that point, even if you want to give a manager time and you want them to stay, it becomes impossible with the mounting fan backlash as well. And people that say fans don't have a big say in the game, they absolutely do have a massive say. They really do. By the way, guys, keep smashing the likes on the stream as well. 7 more to 30. Let's get this up to 30 minimum, people. Lampard might have to go for a PE job next. Mate, you better watch out. Frank could be coming to your school, mate, and taking your PE teacher job. So, yeah, just watch out, my guy. You think Mendy and Kepa will both leave, and who would you want in the sticks next season? Let me get onto this goalkeeping stuff in a bit. I've got so much stuff to go through. Who do you think we go for? All right, guys, I'm going to get onto this goalkeeper bit in a sec, all right? CFC should explore salary to offload players like Oba, Koulibaly, Ziyech, and Mendy. Yeah, but it's all very well doing that, but I doubt any of those guys are going to want to go to the Saudi League at this stage of their career. That's the reality. We can't argue against the previous model. We won things. Yeah, we did win things, but that wasn't because we spent 50 million quid on Torres. That's because we had a fucking good team anyway at the start. And I loved Fernando Torres, but he wasn't that great at Chelsea. So this idea that, we still won things even though we bought Torres for 50 million doesn't add up, because the team we had was still very good regardless of that money for Torres anyway. I was there on Sunday and Shedden Low. Was a great day. Yeah, no, it was great to give Frank the send-off that he deserves. He didn't get to give us a send-off when he left as a player, and he didn't get to give us a send-off as a manager when he was sacked first time round. So it was great to give him a send-off and see him taking the applause at the end of the game, and he thoroughly deserves that. I am looking forward to next season. Yeah, me too. We need to sign a bit of both. I'm not really sure what that's referring to. These days are well and truly over now. Very different. Buckle up for the ride. Yeah, this is going to be a different Chelsea now, guys. How we operated under Roman is not how they're going to operate going forward. So we need to adjust. We need to get used to it. Strap in and look forward to the ride, guys, because it's never a dull ride at Chelsea. Yes, big up my guy. Keep it. How do you feel about our midfield consisting of Ugarte, Enzo, and Caicedo? Mate, that gets me excited. That gets me excited, I look at that and you think, fuck me, there's not many better midfields in Europe than that. 3 of the best midfield players in Europe, average, 22, 21, 22, I think. I mean, phenomenal. If that was a midfield next season, yeah, that's moving me. That's moving me. I can't lie. That's a top midfield. If we could get that over the line, that would be superb. Maybe if we sprinkle a bit of Romeo Lavia in there as well, we're cooking. What else we got here? Do you think Poch wants to use Nkunku as centre forward next season? No, Pochettino, I think, wants to use Nkunku as that number 10, playing off the forward. Of course, in certain games, injuries and whatnot, he may have to play as a centre forward, and he can do that. But yeah, that's not is the plan's not to use him as a centre forward. Any new kit leaks? A kit announcement is expected pretty soon. Actually, there has been some rumored leaks on FIFA. It's supposedly the shirt's going to be kind of like blue and gold, but nothing's been confirmed yet. We still don't have a shirt sponsor for next season, so until that's released, then we're not going to get any new kit. Yeah, we obviously will get new sponsors. No other owner could be self-sufficient than the Roman era. Just won't work. No, because nowadays, I don't think you can get a club owned by one individual. It's always by consortiums and a group of individuals. I just think with how much money's in football now and how expensive football clubs are, the days of buying a football club outright as an individual, I think, are pretty much finished. I'll get onto this very shortly. Any new things to come on the channel, mate? Next season? Fuck knows. Yeah, hopefully. I don't know what I'd have to have a think about it, but yeah, of course, I'll try and always bring some new content to the table if I can. Sponsorship deal. Yeah, look, supposedly it's meant to be Allianz. That's the one that's strongly rumored, but again, nothing concrete on that. So we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But yeah, it should be announced soon. It's more games. It's about money. I think it's a little bit shit, but I haven't looked too much into it. I don't really understand why they needed to change the format. There's nothing wrong with this format. It's all about money at the end of the day. Nippon, big up my guy. How much do you reckon a ticket would be? Oh, wait, away tickets are all capped at 30 quid, so it'll be 30 quid to go Chelsea Luton. Something about partnership for next season. If we're going to back two, if it's a back four, probably Silva and Fofana. But again, if he goes, I think that's the obvious choice. Silva and Fofana would be my partnership there. Anyway, people keep smashing the likes. Let's move away from Joao Felix and let's move on to other targets in midfield. And let's talk about this N'Golo Kante situation. N'Golo Kante's contract extension negotiations are on standby. Now, I had a feeling something wasn't quite adding up because we had it reported a while back that Kante was really close to agreeing an extension to his Chelsea contract. I think it was going to be, I think it was going to be a 2+1 deal with the option of an extra year based on how many games he played, which I think makes perfect sense given his injury record in his career. But since then, it's all gone very quiet on N'Golo Kante and the contract extension. And reportedly, the latest injury setback has made the club think twice about offering the extension. Now, I'm really in two minds about keeping Kante. I think Kante is a phenomenal footballer, world-class, unique. But at the same time, there comes a point where availability is the greatest ability. And there's no point signing Kante up to a new contract if he's only going to be around for 10 to 15 games a season. That just isn't doing it. It's really not. It's just not doing it. That's the problem. It's not doing it. So I'm just really unsure on this one. He is injury prone, but when he's available, he's so good. But how available can he be? But I've also maintained that it's really important that we keep some experience around the club because, if we were to get in Ugarte, if we were to get Caicedo, 21, 22, like if Kovacic goes, that's experience. If Ruben goes, that's experience as well. We're losing a lot of experience in midfield and you just don't want to get rid of it all. So I probably would still keep Kante in a squad rotation option. I think it makes perfect sense. And I do agree that Caicedo is the heir to Kante. He's a Kante kind of regen. But we need the experience around the place. It just depends. Is Kante happy to accept a reduced role and a squad role and to play every now and then and not be a starter every week? I think at this stage of his career, I think he can't really expect to start every week given his fitness record. But does he feel that he could go and play every week somewhere else and he'd get that opportunity to play every week somewhere else? If he wanted to go and play in PSG, then I wouldn't hold that against him. And ultimately, if letting Kante go meant we could sign Caicedo, then that is a trade-off that I would be prepared to accept. I would be prepared to accept a trade-off of Kante leaving if it meant that Moises Caicedo came in. And I think ultimately that is a good footballing decision from Chelsea if that were to be the case. Keep him at all costs, still the best in his position on his day. And if that's 8-10 games of the season he contributes, that's better than. Look, it is tough because the availability thing is a very, very valid point. There's no point having someone at the club that they can't ever fucking play. It's pointless. It's pointless. It really is. But at the same time, I think he's a top player. And, when he is available, then he's a massive, massive plus for us. And his experience as well, it could be really vital for these young players like Enzo, like Garte if he comes in. Obviously, Andre Santos if he's part of the squad next season. These midfielders can learn a lot from N'Golo Kante. So it is really important that we do try our best to get this done. But right now, they're on standby. I'm wondering if the club are having second thoughts, or if Kante's having second thoughts, or if they're both having second thoughts potentially, because it's gone really quiet. And this is the first update we've had. This is the first update we've had from him. Poch's choice, yeah, I think it will be Pochettino's choice, but it's also down to Kante as well. If Poch wants Kante, that's absolutely fine. But Kante's got to want to stay at Chelsea as well. It doesn't just work as manager wants you, I'm going to stay. Kante's got to think about what's best for his career and what he wants at this point in time, because this next contract he signs is probably going to be the last big contract of his career. So he's got to make sure that it's right for him and it's right for his family. Yeah, look, he is injury prone for sure. And this is the big thing. For me, if you're going to get any longevity out of N'Golo Kante, he needs to, first of all, he needs to retire from international football for France. He cannot keep playing for France. He needs to keep his body fresh and have those international breaks to recover and work on his fitness and get some good work in at Cobham at the training ground. That's the key for me. So the big thing for N'Golo Kante to prolong his career and prolong his availability is by retiring from international football for me. But yeah, that is the latest on N'Golo Kante. Far less games next season might suit him anyway with no European football. Yeah, it means that he can miss less games through injury, I suppose. No, I do get your point, but there's also a lot less room for rotation as well when you're only playing once a week. You don't need to rotate anywhere near as much. So he might look at that and think we've got less games and that equals less opportunity, which is true. That is a way that you could look at it. Less games does most definitely equal less opportunity. There's no two ways about it. People keep smashing those likes. 2 more likes to 30. Let's bump this stream up to 40 likes, guys. Let's get 40 likes on this. Keep smashing the likes, people. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so already. I've set an ambitious target to try and hit 4K before the season starts. If you're locked in now, you're new, you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and join a community. It massively helps me out. Nice job, team. Hit that 30 likes now, people. Let's get this to 40. Keep smashing that like button, guys. Great work, team. Anyway, yeah, that's that point. Yeah, Caicedo's the Kante replacement. Absolutely. We need Kante experience. Let Cover go. True. I've got absolutely no idea. Kante can lift the whole team morale by his performance on the field. Yeah, he can. Of course he can. Mate, De Jong's not going anywhere. Man United was strongly linked with him. Chelsea were linked with him. De Jong wants to stay at Barcelona. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Yeah, I would expect. I mean, I don't know how Barca would be able to get Kante. They're going to give him free transfer. I don't know how they'd be able to register him or anything like that. I could honestly see Kante ending up at PSG. I think that's a sort of a move that PSG would look to do. In my opinion, it's tough. It's tough. You need to go to a lot of home games, get your membership points up, and then just hope for the best. Simple as that. Can't say Silva stays, who's in his 40s, but not Kante. Yeah, but Kante can't stay fit. Silva plays every single week, and he's got an impeccable injury record, pretty much. Kante, you can't rely on Kante for offering Kante a 2+1 contract. You can barely rely on him for 2+1 games, and that's the reality of the situation. Is that we've got to weigh up: is Kante's ability and impact on the team when he's available so important that it outweighs the amount of games that he's going to miss through injury? That's the question, and that's the conundrum that you've got to ask yourself. Is that trade-off worth it? Are the games that he is available for and his level of performance worth all the time that he spends on the treatment table? And at 32 years of age, I think you could think yes, maybe. But then at the same time, you could be thinking, well, no, maybe we could move him on and bring someone younger in and really rebuild that midfield. Again, that's totally different because they're at massively different stages of their careers. They're both young, early 20s, or Chile's 26. I think James is like 22 or something, maybe 23. Totally different stages of their career. So it's completely different in that aspect. And they're not on anywhere near as much money as Kante is either. I'm worried with Reece James. We don't seem to get more. Yeah, look, Reece. I mean, I met Reece after the game on Sunday. I didn't have a conversation with him. So also, it's not annoying, but guys, when you meet a player or you meet someone, you don't there's not time to ask them questions. There's not time to have a conversation. So when people ask me, did I ask him any questions? No, I didn't ask him any questions because I can't, because he's doing a picture and he's fucking off. So yeah, no questions are asked in that situation. Look, it's a worry with Reece, I think he needs to go and have surgery on that hamstring in the summer, but as he said on Instagram, he's determined to put this season behind him. It's been a dark time for him, but he's learned so much about himself, and I fully believe that he'll be back stronger next season, and hopefully put these injury issues behind them, because look, there's no denying it. They are a concern. They are a concern. And it's as simple as that. Gallagher is 50-50 with Conor Gallagher. There is interest from West Ham. Newcastle have held interest before. Everton had a bid turned down in January. I don't think he'd want to go to a relegation threatened team though. But let's talk about the academy lads then, because there's a lot of talk on people not happy. Oh, actually, no, let's quickly just address the fact that Dennis Zakaria is leaving the club as well. I think that's kind of obvious. I mean, people, let me know your thoughts on Zakaria in the chat, because I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. What have we got here? Premier League starts on August 12th. Fantastic. So we only need to make... Yeah, of course. Yeah, because FFP's done on a 3-year cycle. So we just need to make £100 million by the end of June. Kante rotated in a squad would be good. We need to have to be careful. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do fully agree on that. But the decision that Kante and the club have got to arrive at is Kante happy with the terms that are being offered and the minutes that would be on offer for him? And do the club think that when he is available, the performances he's put in the pitch are of significant value, that they outweigh the inevitable amount of time that he's going to be spending on the treatment table? I think James and Shaw, yeah, absolutely. Look at how well he got Kyle Walker and Danny Rose playing. I think we can see similar next season from Chilwell and James. But just like with Kante, it's really important that Chile and James have as injury-free a season next season as possible, because they've been picking up far too many injuries over the last few years. You can't go by a season now where these guys have not picked up at least one significant injury and missed a handful of games. And that has got to stop going forward. It has to. I feel bad that Zakaria wasted a year. Look, to be honest, Zakaria was a strange one. He bought him in on deadline day. Everyone knew that we needed to sign central midfield players. We stood around all summer fucking about signing no midfielders, and I still cannot believe that Tuchel said that quote where he said, "Oh, we don't need any midfielders because we've got Loftus-Cheek, Gallagher, and someone else." He said that was a madness from him. I don't know if he actually meant that. I hope he didn't, because he's definitely better than that. Obviously, Zakaria arrived on deadline day on loan. We barely saw him, and then there was one point in the season where I was thinking, we're never going to see this guy play for Chelsea, because he was constantly being left out of the squad. Then he made his debut at home against Zagreb. He scored. He had a bit of a run in the side. Then he was actually putting in some really good performances. Then he picked up that injury away at Fulham in January, and then we barely saw him since. I think the last time we saw him was a substitute appearance away at Spurs in February. So whilst there were some good performances there, and the buy option at I think 35 million euros was appealing if it had gone well, ultimately this is just another one of those deals that it was a disaster, and we cannot have a repeat of any of these Saul or Zakaria deals. We have to get things right. It's as simple as that. We have to get this right. We cannot afford to be doing shitty loan deals on midfield players and hoping it works out. We need to be serious in the market again. And I believe now that we are going to be serious in the market with Egbali and Bowley driving deals, Winstanley, Vivell, Joe Shield, Lawrence Stewart. Mate, the Avengers have assembled, and we're taking no prisoners in negotiations. We will not be leaving negotiations until said player is coming back on the private jet with us. And that's how we're rolling at the moment. Zakaria was playing well. Yeah, no, he was. No, it's true. He was playing well. I'm going to miss Zakaria. It was very good for us after the World Cup. Yeah, no, it did. The injury ended the season for him. As simple as that. Didn't really get a long run on the team. No, he wasn't bad. I actually think overall you'd say he played well more often than not in the games that he did get. But the deal just didn't really make any sense at all from a Chelsea standpoint. I hope so as well. Remember Zakaria against Zagreb and City at home? Yeah, no, he put in good performances, no doubt about it. Zakaria putting in good performances. People, get this up to 40 likes. 4 more likes, guys. There's over 50 of us locked into this stream. Get that up to 40 likes and fuck it. Let's even go for 50 likes. Let's get another 14 likes on this stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well, people. Let's get this to 50 likes before we round this one out, guys. It takes you seconds. All you've got to do is move your mouse over that little thumb button and click it. And you'll feel much better about yourself. So you're helping me out as well. So make sure you do that, guys. That Perez guy that's with Poch is known for his medical work with players, apparently. Yeah, well, fuck me. We need some medical experts at Chelsea because the injuries we're getting are absolutely ridiculous. Something is not right with the medical department right now. And that has got to change in the summer. That's something that has to be addressed. We need to sort out the medical department. Far too many injuries, far too many players seemingly coming back too soon and suffering injury setbacks. And this can't continue. I think the lack of fitness in the team as well is part of the reason as to why we're picking up so many injuries. So we need to sort out the medical department out and we need to get this team fucking fit. Saul in disguise. I wouldn't say it was quite that bad, but yeah, it wasn't a million miles off, that's for sure. Right. Let's get rid of that Zakaria screen and let's move on, people. What was I going to bring up now? Obviously wanting Kunku there, that Kante stuff. Yeah, it looks like Chelsea again are looking for, in terms of the Manu Ugarte, actually, yeah, in terms of the Manu Ugarte deal, nothing too much more to say on that other than the fact that Chelsea are still pushing for it. Pochettino wants Ugarte as a priority signing, is the exact wording. Let me try and find, this is the one here. So let me just bring this up on the screen, guys. Bear with me. We have got Chelsea and Maurizio Pochettino. No, not that one. Yeah, this is the one. So Fabrizio saying that Pochettino is really pushing internally to sign Manuel Ugarte. He considers him absolutely perfect player for his idea. Now, this to me indicates that with Poch wanting to play in Kunku as the 10 or the second striker, that we are looking to employ a 4-2-3-1 system, which would mean we'd be going with a pivot in midfield. So we'd be looking at an Enzo Ugarte pivot or an Enzo Caicedo pivot with Ugarte as an option. Like, I don't know if I'd prefer a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. I mean, I don't look at Ugarte as an out-and-out number 6 defensive midfield player. I look at him as more of a, I don't know if he's more of a box-to-box midfielder or not, but I don't think he's an out-and-out number 6, which to me suggests that we could be looking to play this as... I think we could be looking to play a 4-2-3-1 under Pochettino next season, with Enzo being partnered by Ugarte or Caicedo in the middle of the park. And I mean, I don't want to see Enzo playing as a deep lying 6 anymore, because yes, he can play that role, but he's not a number 6. He's much better as an 8, as a box-to-box midfielder, getting forward, doing that defensive work as well. And I think in a pivot alongside an Ugarte or alongside a Caicedo, then I think that can really start to unlock the best of Enzo Fernandez. But until that happens, then Enzo's going to continually be playing. Ugarte is a 6. He sits. No, I did know that Ugarte was defensively minded. I just wasn't sure if he was a full out and out 6 or not. That's the main question that I was trying to get to the bottom of. And I'm not really too sure what the answer is there in terms of Ugarte. But if Kante leaves, yeah, people, do what George has said. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that like button. Oh, we're past 40 now. Let's get this to 50, guys. 8 more likes. Let's bang this up to 50 likes on the stream, people. Guys, put your thoughts in the chat Ugarte as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the player and how you think he would settle in at Chelsea. So happy we got Enzo, though. Yeah, look, I'm absolutely delighted. And people can say, oh, it was a lot of money. But ultimately, we had to act fast and we had to get this done because in the summer, we would have had far less chances. Fuck, yeah. Actually, could be more likes than points. What are we on? 42, 44 likes. How many points did we end up with? I think we ended up with 46 likes. Let's get more likes than points, people. More likes than points. That's how we roll. Yeah, look, Ugarte, I think we need both Ugarte and Caicedo. Yeah, look, and this is what I've been saying all along. Ugarte, great, would be a fantastic signing for us, but it can't just be Ugarte. It needs to be Ugarte and more. It needs to be Ugarte and Caicedo and Lavia, potentially. We're being greedy and we're being really honest about a midfield rebuild. Signing Ugarte, Lavia and Caicedo would be phenomenal. And if it meant that Kante, Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher left and Ugarte, Caicedo and Lavia came in, then fuck me. That is a trade that I am taking. Guys, let me know in the chat, yes or no. Are you taking a swap? Are you taking Ugarte, Caicedo and Lavia for Kovacic, Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher to leave? So Kovacic, Kante and Gallagher leaving. No, sorry, Kovacic, Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher leaving. Or for Ugarte, Caicedo and Lavia to come in. I think that's an absolute no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. But yeah, it's really important that we bring in other players in. We need experience alongside there. Yeah, of course. You know, when I'll always do the vlogs when I'm at the games. So yeah, there'll be plenty of home and away vlogs next season, guys. Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry. But this summer, right now, oh mate, have a day off. I think it's time for you to go to bed, mate. With that suggestion, you're obviously not thinking straight. He's not good enough, mate. I understand that he's a set piece merchant, in my opinion. Yes, he's done well for Southampton, but you know, is he standing out because he's a big fish in a small pond at Southampton, in a pond that's got a lot of shitty water in it? You know, so it's not for me. It's not for me. And if Chelsea are serious, they don't sign someone like James Ward-Prowse. And that's the honest reality of the situation. In my opinion, add Mount into the leave list for those. Look, it looks like Mason Mount's going to leave. Personally, for me, I'd like him to stay. I think he's got a lot to offer to this football club still. But I understand if people think he should leave, then that's their thoughts. Don't you think we need wingers? Madueke and Mudryk are too raw. We got no right wing, only Madueke. Look, Ziyech is going to leave, as is Pulisic. That's 2 going. Callum Hudson-Odoi is going to leave as well. That's 3. Although he wasn't even here this season anyway. Look, I think you can argue that we do need to sign 1 winger. I think that's a fair thing to say. I really do. Unless he's going to make use of Havertz potentially on that right side coming in, or if he thinks that Mount could do a job on that right side potentially if he stays. But I get your feelings. I think we could definitely do with another winger. No 2 doubts about it. Apparently, Ugarte wants the Prem, and Caicedo as promised by De Zerbi would be sold on this. No, Ugarte definitely wants a Premier League move. He does. So, look, I'd be disappointed and shocked. Maybe shocked's a bit of a strong word, but I'd be disappointed and surprised if Ugarte chose PSG over Chelsea. Yes, PSG are guaranteed to win the league pretty much every year, and he's going to play regularly, you're going to play Champions League football. But at Chelsea, you're going to play in the best league in the world. You've got the London lifestyle. You're going to be playing with some really exciting players, and it's a club that is on the up and is going places again. This is a really exciting project. I don't think that can be overemphasized. That what Chelsea are building right now is exciting. So for me, I think I would definitely be choosing Chelsea over PSG. Of course, I'm going to say that with a slight tinge of bias there. But how about Gundogan for experience? Chelsea fanatic, big up my guy. Gundogan for experience would be fantastic. I think Gundogan on a free transfer would make great sense for Chelsea and would be a very good profile of player to have in the squad. But again, I just cannot see that happening. For me, Gundogan is probably going to go to Barcelona in the summer or he'll go abroad. I can't see him going to another Premier League team. But yeah, I think he's a top player, and I think it's definitely someone that would make a difference to that Chelsea midfield, and it would represent a profile that we sort of don't really have on our books right now. I'm a big fan of James Maddison. I think Maddison's a top player, really intelligent player, and I do like him. I do like him. But I don't think Chelsea are going to get James Maddison. I think he'll end up at Newcastle. That's fair enough. I mean, I watched Lavia this season at Stamford Bridge, and he was phenomenal. He bossed that midfield. He's a really exciting player. And if we're going to sign Romeo Lavia, we need to do it this summer because Southampton are relegated, so his price drops down. Plus, Man City have got first option to buy him back. First option to buy him back that comes into effect next summer. And you can guarantee they'd be looking to do that because they're going to be looking to bring in some new midfield signings as well. So if we want Lavia, we need to do it now and push on with it. And at 40 million quid, I think it's really good value for money. I agree with the wingers, no supply on the best sides of power and force with width. Yeah, look, maybe we do need one more. I think we do. Supposedly Agate is a specialist 6 as opposed to being a box-to-box midfielder. Well, yeah, look, it could be perfect then. It could be perfect. I don't know how you can be so sure and all these players are leaving. I feel we'll be stuck with many. No, look, maybe part of it's wishful thinking, but I do feel that a lot of these players will leave. Loftus-Cheek's on his way to AC Milan. Those talks are advancing. We know that Hakim Ziyech and Christian Pulisic are going to leave the club. Conor Gallagher potentially as well. Maybe Trevor Chalobah. Maybe Mason Mount as well. There are going to be players moving out the door, but I fully get what you're saying in terms of like I simply don't think we can get rid of as many players as we want to get rid of in one window. It's going to be a gradual process, but the club have said that unless you're a young talent, you won't be and you might go out on loan. You're only going to go out on loan if you're still developing. If you're shit and you're surplus to requirements, you're going to be sold. I do believe you will see a lot of players sold, whether it's coming to an agreement to terminate the contracts or whether it's just taking a cut price deal and getting them off the books. I do think that Chelsea will try and move as many of these players on as possible, but I don't think it will be as easy as we think it is to get as many out the door as we're looking to. Does kind of say they leave us financially short with top strikers? No, I don't think it does. No, we've got plenty of saleable assets, and there is money to spend. There is money to spend. Ben Jacobs saying in a Twitter space last night, there is money to spend for Chelsea. They don't need to sell to spend money. I've got Ben jumping on the show on Thursday so we can explain all the financial side of things in a lot more detail. But yeah, no, Chelsea don't need to sell before they can buy this summer. That's one thing that is true. Let's get rid of that. Could push Hall into a wing role. I'd probably say not. He's predominantly a midfield player that's done pretty well at left back, left wing back. I don't think he's not really a winger. And away day I'm looking forward to next season, Sheffield United and Luton, if I can get a ticket. Ground's pretty small. But yeah, Sheffield United and Luton would be great. Definitely looking forward to those two. And I've pretty much done all the others. So yeah, Sheffield United and Luton would be two that I'm definitely looking forward to. Do we need Joao Felix when we got world-class CL finalisting Mount? Yeah, I can detect your irony in there. Fair. I feel Cho will stay, but everyone else being rumored to leave looks like no, because Callum's got 1 year left on his contract. So unless he signs a new deal, he's going to be sold. It's just, for me, I cannot see how Hudson-Odoi stays at Chelsea. Yes, he's still only 22, and I think, look, it's a real shame what's happened to him. That Achilles injury was a massive setback, and I think he's a very talented boy. Does Pochettino see a place for him? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Cho could be that extra winger. I don't know, but I do really feel that with his contract expiring next season, I can't see him signing a new contract at Chelsea. So with the way that the club are operating now, he's going to be sold, and I think that's the way. I think that's the way it's unfortunately. I think that's the way it's got to be. There's some good youth prospects to rotate into the wing. Why are we not doing perpetual loans anymore? No, we're not doing perpetual loans anymore. No, we're not. Other clubs midfield are going to upgrade as well. United, Arsenal, Liverpool, which makes it does. Remember, top 5 next season qualifies for Champions Leagues. But yeah, it's not just us that are going to be upgrading midfield. United as well, Arsenal and Liverpool, and we're all going to be shopping for the same sort of players. So that's why we've got to act quickly and move fast and get these deals done, because we're all going to be looking for a similar quality of player, and the same players are going to be on the list. Top 5 gets Champions League next season. Yeah, it does. It's done on the coefficient and how well teams have done in Europe over the last few years, which is why we've got 5 spaces. Obviously, if we do shit for a number of years, then, that might revert back to obviously back to 4 places in time. But right now, that doesn't appear to be the case. What should be the aim for Chelsea next season? Champions League qualification, try and get a domestic cup. That has to be it. That was not on Sarri. That was something organised by Roman. And also, Cho didn't get injured in that one. It was Ruben that got injured in that just before the Europa League final. But yeah, fuck that friendly because that ruined a lot of shit. What you want? I wouldn't say no to him. 32 years of age, a bit of experience. He's clutch. He's different profile. I'm not saying it's exactly what we need, but it would be a decent signing on a free for the squad. Is my feeling behind that. Don't want Chelsea to end up like, no, of course we're not going to end up. We're not going to be pulling levers left, right, and centre. Don't worry about that. But yeah, that's really the latest on Manu Ugarte is that Chelsea are pushing. They're offering to pay the £52 million release clause, I believe. Yeah, Chelsea are offering to pay the £52 million release clause over 4 to 5 years. So, yeah, looking to pay that release clause over 4 to 5 years rather than paying it all in one go. David Datro Fofana reportedly could be involved in the deal going on loan to Sporting, which I think would be a great loan deal for him. First team football in a top 5 league, Europa League and stuff, and a chance for him to really develop his game further. So that would make sense. And I think this is where we are in quite a strong negotiating position, is that we can offer players as part of the deal and we can send players on loan to obviously develop as well, which can make or break those sort of negotiations with clubs, because they're always going to be looking for new players. Let me just bring this up quickly. Is that from today? That is from today. What's this saying here? Apparently, we know Aubameyang's going to be first out the door. Nizar Kinsella saying today that Aubameyang's been given the green light to leave, and the 33-year-old's got interest from Saudi Arabia, of course. In order to offload Aubameyang, Chelsea are prepared to accept a nominal fee and take a loss on the $12 million they paid for him less than a year ago. He's open to return to Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid and AC Milan are also interested in him. What else have we got here? Blues need to balance the books after spending, and they could sell up to 12 players, including Edouard Mendy, Christian Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, Ziyech are free to leave, while Kovacic, Cucurella, and Havertz could be sold. What are your? I mean, Kovacic has attracted interest from Manchester City, while Cucurella is wanted by Atletico Madrid. Now, guys, what would your thoughts be on a potential selling of Marc Cucurella? Only just arrived. I can't see how we get a decent price for him, given that the season's been pretty tough for him. I believe that he deserves another season, given that registered interest. I'll be honest, mate, I don't really know how all this membership stuff works. Yeah, look, membership. You should get an email when memberships go on sale, and then from there. Oh, I think my battery's starting to run out slightly. Let's get this reconnected. There we go. I should be charging now. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm not that right, guys. Let's get this to 50 likes. 50 likes, people. Come on, let's keep this going. 50 likes on the stream. Is required. So let's keep smashing those likes. 2 more likes to the big 5-0, people. We've smashed it tonight. Done a fucking great job, guys. Right. Yeah, Cucurella. Look, I think Cucurella's done. And look, he's had a tough season. He's had some decent games. He was phenomenal against Dortmund in that second leg. I just don't think we can get the money back that we deserve. And also, I do think, whatever people feel, we do need strength in depth. Cucurella's a good player. You know, he's shown that at Brighton, the fact that Manchester City wanted him, yes, they weren't prepared to go above a certain price for him, but they were interested in him. He's a good player, and I think he does deserve a second season. I don't feel good writing players off after one season, or saying we should get rid of players after one season, unless like there's a legitimate reason, like Aubameyang, to get rid of these guys after a season. I think Kovacic deserves another chance, and with Kovacic and with Cucurella and obviously Chilwell as the left backs, I think that's good. And Lewis Hall can obviously be there as well to rotate if these guys get suspended or injured. So I think it's really important that we do have kind of two really good left backs. And I think Cucurella is one of those. And I think Pochettino would enjoy working with him. So yeah, for me, I'd keep Cucurella. But if, say, 40 or 50 million pounds deal came for Cucurella from Atletico Madrid, then I think the club would be very tempted to take it, given we've got the likes of Lewis Hall coming through, who could be a very, very capable understudy to Ben Chilwell. Manu Kone now wanted by Liverpool, Fabrizio just posted. Look, Manu Kone is obviously a target for Chelsea, or has definitely been linked to Chelsea. And Christian Vivel apparently is a big fan of his. Manu Kone, one of the midfielders on Liverpool's list. He's highly rated at Liverpool, and Liverpool are already informed on conditions of the deal. Parties feel there's a chance for Kone to leave this summer. German publication Bild have called it. He's a name to consider for Liverpool's plans. I mean, Kone's again another one that Chelsea are potentially looking at, but again, I'd more than happily take Caicedo and Ugarte and Lavia. No problem at all. Look, Sterling's going to get another season. Look, mate, you know my thoughts on Sterling. I've never been a huge fan of him. I think he massively benefited from that Man City system, and we're kind of seeing the level of player that he really is. I know he's only 27, but it does seem to me, based on this season, that potentially his best years have already happened. Look, he's going to be here next season. He's on massive money at the club. No one's going to bid the money we paid for him or pay him anywhere near the wages that he's on now. So unfortunately, he's going to stay here. But next season's a massive season for him. If he has another season like this or not a significant improvement, then he needs to be shown the door and he has to leave. It is as simple as that if it comes to it. But he'll be here next season. Look, I like Koulibaly, but the reality of the situation is that a centre-back needs to leave this summer. Levi Colwill is coming back into the squad, and that leaves us with Chalobah, Silva, Fofana, Badiashile, Colwill, and Koulibaly. That's 6 centre-backs. Then we're going to be playing a back 4. That's way too many. You realistically only need 4 centre-backs. You need 4 centre-backs, really, if you're playing a back 4. Maybe 5 at a push. You don't need 6. So someone needs to leave this summer. And I think for me, yes, Chalobah would represent pure profit on the books and probably fetch the highest fee. But I think he's a really important player, good age, and he's versatile as well. Koulibaly's not a great age. He's not versatile. And for me, I'd much rather sell Koulibaly than Chalobah this summer. But a centre-back needs to leave, and I fear it could well be Koulibaly. Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Mate, Maddison, I think, is going to go to Newcastle. He's been strongly linked. They had 2 £50 million bids turned down in January for the player. So yeah, that's the latest of James Maddison. I think he will go and sign for Newcastle. And I think it'll be a great signing for them. I really do. What else have we got to cover? Is he better than Mount? I think in terms of, I don't know. It's a difficult one now. It really is. Tough. I can't really tell. Obviously, you'd say he's in part of a relegated side this season, but I think Maddison's a top player. I think he scores a lot more goals than Mason Mount does. And I think he probably chips in with more assists. I think he's a bit more creative, a bit more of an intelligent player. I don't think there's an awful lot in it, but I am a huge fan of James Maddison. Huge fan of his. People, this could potentially be a good place to round this one out shortly. Of course, let me just quickly round out with some Mason Mount chat, because no Chelsea transfer stream could be complete without touching on the Mason Mount saga. Not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. Is it that one? Let me find it. But yeah, Chelsea reportedly are still wanting £70 million for Mason Mount. That is the asking price that the club have set. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I think by asking for this, they're potentially trying to drum up a bidding war between the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man United. I think Chelsea know they probably aren't going to get 70 million, but if they could get 50 or 60 million pounds, inviting a bidding war between those 3 teams could certainly drive the price up. Blue Lounge, big up, my guy. Really appreciate you dropping in to smash that like. Top man. I'd hate to see Mount. Yeah, look, I wouldn't like. I don't want to see him leave the football club. But I think ultimately that's the direction that we are, unfortunately, heading in. The Mason circus. Yeah, it is a bit of a circus, massively. I haven't watched the games, but Selena, no goals conceded after 4 games in the Under-20 World Cup so far. Yep, that's very impressive. A great start for him. I don't know what level of team that the US has been playing, but yeah, 4 clean sheets is pretty good. Do you think anyone's going to pay £70 million a Mount? No, I don't think they are. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So yeah, I cannot see people paying £70 million to Mason Mount. 50, maybe 60 would I think be good value for money for Chelsea. 60 million quid for an England international, a proven Premier League player with only 1 year left on a contract. I don't think you can be asking for too much more money than that. He went from being Mr. Chelsea manager saying his most important figure. No, he's not. He's not, sir. This is the thing. He's not surplus to requirements. That is one thing that I must make clear. Sorry, he's not surplus to requirements. But what is the situation is that he obviously hasn't signed a contract. The negotiations have been very public, very protracted. And what else am I looking for here? Oh yeah, this is it here. So an exclusive from Boy Vincent at Football London. Let me just bring this up on the screen because this will obviously explain the situation. Look, it's not look, this isn't all to do with money with Mason Mount. This here has been said. A source has told Football London that just before the World Cup took place last year, Mount was optimistic an agreement could be reached. In fact, there was an understanding to see eye to eye on an agreement with Todd Boehly and Badad Iqbali, where imaging rights, which have proved to be a big obstacle in negotiations, were agreed on. However, when he arrived back from the World Cup, the offer was no longer on the table. Now, I don't know how true that is and what that source is, but Bobby Vincent at Football London is a very reputable source, always pretty spot on with his reporting. And I don't know, it's a strange one because it appears to me that this is obviously partly to do with money, partly to do with imaging rights. What else is it to do with? It was demanded by 2 managers, including Pochettino, that Mount needed to stay. In that respect, Chelsea were somewhat re-upping their efforts. Now, look, Pochettino wants Mason Mount to stay. It's as simple as that. No doubts about it. But there's obviously some issues, imaging rights, wages, potentially, length of contract as well, potentially, that is stopping Mason Mount from signing a contract extension at Chelsea. Now, the manager wants him. I think Mount would like to stay, but there's also the belief that, and there's also the possibility that, and I think someone mentioned it in the chat the other day, that maybe Mason Mount just doesn't buy into the project and the direction the club are going in under these new owners, and he wants to leave. Because I do really think ultimately, for me, if you want to stay at the football club, you'll find a way to stay. There's no 2 ways about it. Mason Mount 100% deserves a pay rise. He's on 80k a week at Chelsea still. And his performances over the last few years have definitely warranted him being paid more money. No doubt about it. Length of contracts, I've got no issue with him not wanting to sign a death row contract. You know, that's fine. Do something like Chilwell, sign a 4-year deal, reassess. Imaging rights seem to be a big issue. I'm not really sure what the issue around the imaging rights is. So if you love the club, mate, you're not taking a pay cut at 80k. That's not how negotiations work. You're negotiating a better contract for the service you've done over the last few years for the football club and being instrumental in the run to the Champions League final and all the club's recent success. You don't go to the negotiating table asking for less money for putting in better performances than players that are on twice your money. It doesn't work like that. This is another issue, is that people look at contract terms, negotiating contract terms based on this season. That's not how it works. We're looking at the whole picture here. His contributions to Chelsea. This is not just offering a new contract isn't purely being based on his performances this season. It's being based on what he's done for the club and what he can do for the club going forward. And the fact that, you know, Pochettino wants him, Tuchel used him a lot. These are top managers, and the fact that, you know, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United want him as well. Top managers at those clubs want him. Goes to show what sort of a player he is and what kind of ceiling he's got and how he can develop over the next few years and get better as a player. So look, you know, that's the reality of the situation, is that there is some sort of hold up with Mount. It looks like he's moving closer towards the exit door, but I still hope, you know, we can revisit these conversations one more time and reach a final decision, because it would be a massive shame, in my opinion. Look, he's not like a world-class player and we're gonna like really miss him, but he's, you know, he's one of our own. It's really important that you keep these academy lads around the place. You've got to have a core of players that know exactly what it means to the football club and that have come through the ranks. Of course, not every academy player is going to be good enough, but we've seen that Mason Mount is more than good enough to play for this football club. So I really hope that they can come to a decision for him to stay. But ultimately, this will be dealt with in the coming weeks, and we'll have our decision one way or another. I don't know if we can look at it as caving to demands. It's negotiating, and if Chelsea have got a price, like a wage, an amount a week they're not prepared to go above, and Mount's not prepared to accept that, then ultimately you either have to accept that or you need to move on. It's as simple as that. And if Mount's not prepared to fall in line with the new wage structure, then that reflects badly on him. And I would be very surprised. We've seen the likes of Broja, Chalobah, Reece James sign up to this. All the January recruits sign up to it as well. So I'd like to think that Mason I would like to think that Mason isn't refused. Sorry, I wouldn't like to think that Mount is refusing to sign up to these new terms. I just wouldn't like to think that. You know, of course it is to us mere mortals, but 80k at Chelsea is a pittance, mate. It's fuck all money. And when you've got the likes of Loftus-Cheek on 150, Kepa on about 150, Jorginho was about 150, you know, and Mount's contributed way more than those guys over the last few years to the success, then you have absolutely to be aggrieved that you're on 80k and you're contributing way more than your teammates have, who are on almost double your money. The money conversation is a totally different thing. But the reason why these players can be paid so much at football clubs is because there is so much money in the game, and they are worth that to the football club. So yes, it's obscene amounts of money, but you know they bring that money in for the club, and the clubs and the amount of money is in the game means that the players can be paid this amount. The performance penalty is also something new, 30%. Yeah. No, of course, but that motivates you to do better as a team. So that's why I absolutely really like these incentives that, you know, if you don't do well individually or as a team, you get your pay gets docked. And if you do well, then it goes up based on what you do. Do you think we'll sign backup midfielder? Yeah, I think so. 56 likes. Guys, I'm about to round this one out. Let's get this up to 60 likes, people. 60 likes. 5 more likes to go, guys. Let's get this to 60 and I'll round it out. Mount just doesn't like the path the plan's going down. Look, that could certainly be part of it. No two ways about it. That could definitely be part of the situation, that he might not like the path the club is going down. Let's see what happens. Maybe Mount has had a better idea about our new owners and doesn't like what he sees. Yeah, quite possibly. But I think we do need to try and do everything we can. Lampard has said that the club are trying to get him to stay. I hope we can reach an agreement, but let's wait and see what happens on this one. But yeah, guys, I'm going to round this one out now. Thank you so much for tuning in the chat. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Make sure you smash the likes on the way out. Let's get this up to 60 likes, people. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I might be back tomorrow with another transfer stream if there's any more news breaking. But I'm back on Thursday with 2 streams, guys. I've got Ben Jacobs joining the show, and big up my guy Saga from Football Heritage TV jumping on to give us the Pochettino lowdown and the Spurs perspective of things. So stay tuned for a double stream on Thursday. I might be back tomorrow, but yeah, guys, until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Up the Chelsea. Peace out.